start the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge allegiance to the Christian flag and to the Savior for which it stands, one Savior, crucified, risen, and coming again, with life and liberty to all who believe. Pledge allegiance to the Bible, God's holy word. I will make it a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. And I will hide its words in my heart, that I might not sin against God.
This ain't my nature, is it?
David, if you would, please.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all the blessings you give us. Give us the ability to use this money for you. This is your money, God. Please guide and direct us to spend in a way that glorifies your name and makes this church a welcoming place where people come and care about you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
John.
Welcome everyone this morning. We'll have a good meal today. Hopefully I can entertain you a little bit here and teach you a few things about the Bible. As I was studying this week, I was going to preach, or I was going to teach on Abraham. We're going to talk on Abraham Wednesday nights. God changed my mind. We're going to start out this morning, if you would. We're going to start out in Proverbs, in the 3rd chapter of Proverbs.
There you are.
Well, hey. Good morning.
enjoy yourself. Let's see you. You're really on time, most days. Glad to see you. How do you, sir? It's fine.
Slept in this morning.
Hey.
I like it when they bring two cubes.
What chapter did you say?
Third chapter of Proverbs, I'm gonna start with the very first verse. He said, "My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments." How often do we study our 10 Commandments anymore? How often do you hear anybody talk about the 10 Commandments anymore? Well, I keep the 10 Commandments. I've got a little thing that I keep in my Bible that has the 10 Commandments. He said, "Thou shalt not have any other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy." You know, I can remember, I'll stop there for a second. I can remember when I was a child, when I was a kid. I can remember on Sunday, everything was shut down. You couldn't go to Walmart, you didn't have no Kmart, you couldn't buy gas. We should keep it holy, and look at it now. Look at how our world is changing today. It's a sad state that we have turned our world into. Honor thy father and mother. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. And thou shalt not covet. And I think about false witness, and I think about that, and I think about people talking about you. Any of you ever talk about anybody? Nobody does, do they? But did you ever think about who it hurts? Does it hurt them or you?
It hurts you.
It
Trump
hurts you.
does.
Right.
You talk about anybody anytime. He don't
He don't talk, he twitters.
But he tells us if we'll keep his commandments for length of days and for length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. And you know, I think if we'll keep our 10 Commandments and we'll do the things that he asks us to do each day, he'll give us a good long life. I'm sorry.
When you study the 10 Commandments, the first 4 commandments is my relationship to God. When you study the last 6 commandments, it is my relationship to you, to the individuals, or the father and mother, you don't commit adultery. So when you come to a Jewish church, you won't have the 10 Commandments, but on one door you'll have the first 4 commandments on the left, and on the right you'll have the following 6 commandments. And a lot of times my friends will go with me and will say, "What the council must put Bible on one side and Bible on another?" Well, the reason you're done is because the first 4 is my relationship to my Heavenly Father, and the last 6 is my relationship to the individual.
And we always are supposed to put God first and foremost.
As I was reading this chapter here, I thought about what he's trying to tell us here, what the author is trying to say. And he talks about the heart and wisdom. So I got my reference out and I got to searching around and got to looking. How many times do you think the brain is mentioned in the Bible? Now this is strictly by reference, so please, that's what, don't hold me to it. But the brain is not mentioned in the Bible.
The mind.
The mind is mentioned, but the brain is not. How many times is the heart mentioned in the Bible? 862 times the heart is mentioned in the Bible. And that's strictly by reference now, but you know, that's something to tell you. A lot of times we get our what we think instead of what we feel. You know, our heart, we should let our heart lead us more than what we do these days. People are too hard anymore. I call them hard-hearted. We should have a humble heart. He said, "Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the tables of thine heart." To see if we can keep those 10 Commandments in our heart, just think how happy we'll be and how much better off we'll be. He said, "So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. And don't everyone want people to think well of you? Don't you want people to think good of you?
True.
He says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. I went back into Psalms there in the 5th chapter of Psalms. In the 37th chapter of Psalms. There were 3 verses back there that kind of helps explain this. He said, trust in the Lord and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the Lord, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the land, and they shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy ways unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. I was thinking about the desires of our heart, and I'm going to get to a little thing on down here about the desires of our heart. What is the desire of your heart? Did you ever think, what is the desire of my heart? What's the desire of your heart? And we think about desire. We have a lot of desires in the world, but we have to be careful with desire and lust, because it gets pretty close if you're not real careful. Have to be real careful there. He said, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. And we have to ask him each day what he wants us to do each day, what he would have us to do, what he wants us to say. Put words in my mouth and keep me out of your way. That's what I ask him to do each morning. If you want me to say it, I'll do the best to say it the way that I think he wants it said. It shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. And you think about our health. He tells us he'll give us more days. He'll give us longer days. We'll live longer on the earth. If we do the things that he asks of us, if we do the things that he wants us to do, if we do the things, you say, I don't want to misunderstand. Going to church does not make you a Christian. But when you go to church, it feeds your Christian life. And we need to be fed. We need to learn. We need to understand and do the different things that we need to do to please God. And we think about that. We think about going to church. And a lot of people, I know a lot of people I know a guy that is a preacher that doesn't go to church at all. But he still professes to be a teacher, a preacher. But we choose what we do.
Butch, I'm going to say, not to have to take away from your lesson, it's not always where you go, it's where you don't go. And the scripture says, blessed is the man who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sin. For his delights or his desires are in the laws of the Lord, and therefore he doth meditate day and night. Going where you go is right, but these lights are on down here every Saturday night, and I don't believe in my heart I've darkened a lot of these doors. But when I was converted, I don't go there now. I go here. Or I don't go out where, like I've always said, and I've learned this the hard way, it's so much easier to stay out of trouble than get out of trouble.
He says, honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thy increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. My son, despise not the chastising of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. And I went back into Hebrew there, and he tells us back in Hebrew in the 12th chapter, 5 through 6, he says, and ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as children. Myself, despise not that the chastising of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For when the Lord loveth, he chastises and scourges every son when he receives. And you think about that this morning. How many times do we correct kids anymore? Do we correct our kids anymore?
Every 5 minutes.
We just let them go out and go by, and I said it the other day, and I'll say it 100,000 times. We spend $8,000 for a one telephone for them. We buy them a computer. We'll go buy them a car. When I was growing up, we didn't have a telephone. We didn't have a car. If you got a car, you got to have to work for it and bought it yourself. We were taught responsibilities. Today, we don't teach our kids responsibilities. Everybody said, well, I've got good kids. And we all have good kids. I'm not saying that. I've got a grandson that I love dearly. I go to get him and my granddaughter off the bus every day because I'm afraid of what's out there in that world to see. But you never know what those kids see. You never know. If we don't guide them, if we don't correct them, where are they going to learn? Because they're not going to learn in school. If you'd hear these little kids talk to you, listen to these little kids when they talk to you. Listen to these young adults when they talk to you and tell you what goes on in their life. It's amazing at the things that you can hear.
It's frightening.
It's amen. He said, for whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth, even as a father and a son, in whom he is delighted. Now, aren't we all proud of our sons and daughters? Now think about that this morning. We're proud of them, but we sometimes along the way they get away. They step away. They don't do the things. They kind of get into the things anymore. Drugs are so prevalent anymore in the schools and around kids. They don't have a chance. They talk about, well, we've got this opioid crisis. We've got to do something about that. Quit making the drug.
I agree.
Yeah.
Quit making it. If
Million
it's that
pills
bad,
for
if it's that
1,000
bad,
people.
quit making it. Let me tell you, I've had pain. I know I can tell you about pain. I don't mean to blow my whistle, but I want you to understand. I've had my knee replaced. I've had my foot operated on. I've had my chest cut open. I've had cancer taken off my head, out of my eye. I have had every kind of pain you ever had. And I ain't took no opioids, ain't gonna take none, because I don't need them. We can't take a little bit of pain. We can't take a little bit of abuse. Our little feelings get hurt too easy. You think about the people. I think about us reading there the other day where the governor said that there was a bunch of thugs playing basketball. And somebody said, well, he ought to resign. Your poor little feelings was hurt because he called you a thug. Come on now. Think about that. But we keep our little feelings right out here. They're right there. Just don't hurt my feelings. Face up to life.
He would hurt my feelings. I took a Tylenol.
Wait a minute. Before we get this back off here.
Tylenol.
Bear with me just a second.
I love you, buddy.
I gotta go. Well, I can't help it. I get frustrated. You see these people, of all the things we need in this world, of all the things that we need to help people, walk down here, guys, and drive through Charleston and look at the
Help
people
us.
that don't have a roof over their
Help
head.
us.
And then what do? I'm sorry, I'm getting off what I want to talk about. I'm sorry. They
Bless you.
don't help those poor people. And after I read that where the Father in whom he is delighted. We're all delighted in our kids. I'm so proud of my two boys. I beg them to come to church. I've got one that goes to church, and I try to get the other. But he says here in Deuteronomy, we'll go back here a little bit, and he said, all the commandments which I commanded thee this day shall be observed to you, that you may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers. And he's talking to the Israeli people here, but if we'll think about this and we'll put it to ourselves and think about that, he has provided, as each and every one of us got a house to live in this morning. Did we wake up in a warm bed? We had plenty of food, we had water, we had everything we need.
Yeah.
But we take so much for granted anymore. And he said, thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee, to prove to thee, to know that was what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldst keep his commandments or no. And I was reading that, and I thought back about Moses when he brought the people, when he had the people in the wilderness and stuff, and he went up on the mount to get the 10 commandments. Well, while he was gone, they lost their faith. They started just rose up and play. I'm gonna have a big-eyed time. See, that's why that's why we come to church. That keeps our heart in it. It keeps our mind in it. You know, it's like anything else. If you don't drive a car, or if you sit down and don't walk, or you do the things that we normally do each and every day, if we don't do it, we forget about it. We can't do it. Think about that. Think about coming to church. Think about this morning. How many smiles you saw when you come into church this morning? And think about how happy it makes you, and how good it makes you feel. And that's what it's all about. And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knowest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee known to man, that man doeth not live by bread alone, only by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doeth man live. Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. Thou shalt also consider in thine heart, as man chastises his son, so the Lord thy God chastises thee. And I think sometimes he puts it in our heart. He'll put things in our heart, and I talked about this last week. Did you ever be sitting around the house and say Herb and Carol are sick, or Lawrence is sick, or someone is sick, and it comes on you, and it comes to your heart. I need to call them. God's telling you, call them. Maybe that's what you need. But how many times do we do it? We get so caught up and busy in our life that sometimes we forget what we should do. Take time. Take 3 minutes. My problem with talking on the phone is I can't hear very well. And then I put them hearing aids in and hear too much. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that gathereth understanding. And I love this word wisdom. Y'all just think about all the wisdom we have in this world today. You can turn that computer on. You can find anything you want to find. I don't care what it is. You can look it up and find it. But I got to thinking about Solomon when I was thinking about wisdom. And God said, okay, Solomon, I want you to think about this. I'm going to give you your heart's desire, whatever you want. Whatever you you just name it. Whatever it is, you're going to lead my people. I'm going to give you your heart's desire. What would you ask for this morning? Think about that. What would you ask for? That old Solomon. I'm sorry.
I would ask that my children all be saved.
Amen. Amen to that. That old Solomon, what did he ask for? He asked for wisdom. And we think about the wisdom that Solomon had and all the things he done, and I think about the two ladies bringing the baby to him and cutting the baby in half. And I think about all the great wisdom that Solomon had. But I'll throw a little humor in that. You know how many wives Solomon had? 700. 700. He wasn't very wise when it comes to women, I can tell you this right now. I got one, and praise the Lord, that's enough. Boom, think about that. He had 700 women. Let's see, I've got it
She
written down
won't
here.
hear that.
Nobody will tell her you said that.
That's okay. But you think about that. He had concubines and princesses. But you think he built the temple for God, he'd done all the good things. And we think today, that really, I just love to read about Solomon, because Solomon, we can say, I make light of his wisdom, but Solomon was a wise man. He really was. And if you think about all the things that Solomon did, and how he went about putting the temple together, see, that's the thing that you should just sit down when you've got a little spare time and read and study about the things that Solomon did. And you think about the things I think about Abraham and all the different people, what they did, and read. And just to kind of refresh your mind. We think, well, you think about Solomon, well, I know what Solomon did, and we do. But if we sit down and read, he done a lot more than we can remember. Just think about it as you read and study and do that. There he is. He had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. He wouldn't even see them but once every 2 years. So, that might be good. Okay. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and is the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious than rubles, and all the things that thou canst desire are not to be compared to her. Length of days with her right hand, and with her left hand riches and honor. Length of days. You know, we think about length of days, and we think about people. I think about my dad passed away at 49. And if God would say, okay, I'm gonna give you your heart's desire. How about living forever?
Amen.
Which one live forever? I've seen so many good people leave this world that I would love to see. I see a little thing on Facebook. I get on Facebook, and I'll read about things that people says and do. About 90% of people don't pay attention, but I think about, it says it's got a bench sitting there. For 1 hour, you call anyone you want to come and sit down on that bench that you talk to, that you've known in your life. Who would you choose? My grandmother. I like to think, I'd say my grandmother, but I'd love to see my dad, my mom, my granddad. My granddad taught me a lot of things, but you have to choose one person that you know in your life.
I'd like to talk to Jesus for
Hey,
1
that's
hour.
exactly what I was gonna say, Nancy. If I could, I can't choose between the people that I've known. But if I could sit for 1 hour and talk with Jesus, think about what you would learn and what you would feel. We don't know the suffering that Jesus Christ did on this earth. I think about all the good things, and I think about all the things, raising the people from the dead, healing the sick, turning the water to wine.
Amen.
We take all this for granted. Well, that's the way we are with life. We take everything for granted. You know, my car's going to be starting, I'll go out there again. I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna go have a bath. You know, we think about all the things that we take for granted as we go through each and every day. Think about, but don't take everything for granted, because tomorrow it may not be there. And I was trying to think, the verse won't exactly come to my head, so I won't quote it exactly, but I think about the guy that had all the riches and stuff. He built the big barns, and all won't come to me, but he got it all ready. He tore all these barns down. He built him one big huge barn that he could store up years and years of supplies. And little did he know, he would be dead tomorrow. Think about that. It won't come to me for some reason.
Yeah, it's just a certain man.
Right. But you think about that. Are we sure that we're gonna be here tomorrow? Are
No.
we right? We're not sure about nothing. We're not sure about anything. Other than what we're sure what we'll do. We have to be responsible for us.
Mother Teresa was on television on the British Broadcasting Corporation years ago when she was living. And she was asked, what are you gonna ask Jesus when you see him? And she said without hesitation, I think he has a lot of explaining to do.
You know, that's one thing I've often thought about.
You can think about that for a while.
I've thought about, you know, why do you let little kids die? Why do little kids? I watch those little kids on TV, and you see them suffering, and they have cancer and all this different things, and you say, well, why? Why? Well, why did he hang on that cross for me?
Well,
Why did he
why
come
didn't
and
they
die
see
for
it?
me?
What he come
Because
to
he
do.
loved me.
That's right.
He loved me.
That's right.
But you think, you still can't keep it in your mind to see those little fellers, and they have so much wrong with them. They have no hair, but you can always look, what do they always have? They've always got a little smile on their face. Praise God for those little smiles. He said, her ways are pleasant, and her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to them that lay a hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. I tried yesterday as I was studying, Friday as I was studying, and I think about, you know, just what he's telling us here in Proverbs, what's he trying to tell us? We have all the riches in the world. You know, we're just not thankful for what we have. We could wake up in the morning and have cancer. They can say, you've got stage 4 cancer in the morning. You're gonna be dead in 6 months. I always think about an atheist, and I think about an atheist and how they can say that there's no God. But I'll guarantee you, if you're around and something happens to them, one of the first words that come out of their mouth, God help them.
Yeah.
Think about that. Well, that's what I ask every day. God, you help me. Help me be the person that you want me to be. Not that I want to be. You make me do the right thing. You put things in my heart that need to be there. We don't think with our heart very often. The Lord by wisdom hath founded the earth, by understanding hath he established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down their dew. My son, let not them depart from thine eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. And the wisdom is one of the biggest things that in the heart in this chapter is what he's talking to us about, and the discretion. We have to be careful about how we do things and what we say to people. We don't think about what we say to people when we're talking to people and stuff. Sometimes my mouth gets engaged before what this up here does.
Well, sometimes your kids, and they take it to heart.
That's true too, yeah.
When in truth, it's told in jest.
Amen. Amen to that. My son, let not them depart from thine eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. I had to go back to what I was thinking, I'm sorry. He said, keep sound wisdom. Do we use sound wisdom all the time? As we go through life, we don't use sound wisdom sometimes. Sometimes we think about what we want instead of what we need. It's easy to think about all the things you want. But how about the things you need?
The old saying goes, but sometimes you gotta draw a line in the sand. The spiritual mind is life eternal. The carnal mind is death. And there has to be a place where you don't cross over. Now, Jordan's done been crossed over. But once we are converted, you draw a line in that sand. You don't go back.
Amen.
Now, there's the world out there and things. Man looks on the outer appearance. God looks on the whole heart. And what we see, even Sarah was with Abram down in that Pharaoh's servant said, she's pretty good to look at. He said, well, bring her down. God plagued him. He said, that's Abram's wife.
Right.
But they look, and it's an example, and that's what we see. But like I said the other day, it's not always what you see, it's what you get.
Right. That's a good point. I think about David standing up on the roof and seeing Bathsheba taking a bath. Then he got the desires. Not of his heart, not what he needed. He got a desire. But what did he have to do? Out of that one little desire, he had a son to take it away from him. He had to pay the price for that. Sometimes the desires we make and the decisions we make, we have a price to pay. And I often say, and I love to hear Roy when he talks about that, about backsliding. And we think about backsliding, we think, what causes you to backslide? Personally, I personally think that the first thing you start getting away from the church. That's the first step. Well, I don't really feel good today. I'll just stay home. I'm just gonna go today. Next week, I still don't feel real good. Oh, I feel pretty good. I'll go this week. And if you would think how you feel after you've been to church, plus staying home, it's like laying in bed in the morning. You know, that bed feels great. It's wonderful. Then shalt thou walk in the way safely, and thy foot shall not stumble. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid, and yea, thou shalt lie down, and sleep shall be sweet. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of desolation of the wicked when it cometh. And you go back to Peter, and he said, but The 1 Peter 14th chapter, he said, but if you suffer for righteousness' sake, happy are ye. Be not afraid of their terror, neither be troubled. You know, if you're living right this morning, and if you're doing right, and you're doing the things that we should do each and every day, you have nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. They can take your body, they can kill you, but they can't take your soul. Don't, be wary of the man that can take your soul. Don't fear the man that can take your body, but think about the man that can take your soul.
You're not man that can destroy the body, fear God who can destroy the body and soul.
I'll try to, he said, with no good from them to whom it is due. When it is in the power of thine hand, do it. If you have the opportunity to pick up the phone, or get in your car, or go visit someone that's sick or needs to see it, do it. Don't put it off. Just get up and do it. Now, if you can't afford it or something, that's fine. But if you have the means, if something's in your heart to do it, do it. Have the wisdom and the heart to do the things that you need to do. Say not unto thy neighbor, go and come again, and tomorrow I will give thee when thou hast it by thee. Devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwelleth securely by thee. Strive not with a man without cause, if he hath done thee no harm. And I want to go back to that, and I think about that. If he's done you no harm, you can talk about people all day long, but you're not hurting them. You're hurting yourself. And we think about all that the harm that we can do. We take our old tongue, it's nothing. Our tongue, it's just a little piece of meat, there's not even a bone in it, but it'll hurt you. You can hurt people to the very bottom of their soul with what comes out of your mouth. And I think about that this morning.
And you can't take it back.
Amen. You can't. It's just like I often say, what you do right now, 1 second afterwards, you can't go back and undo it. What's behind you is behind you. And that's what I think about Jesus Christ this morning when he hung on the cross for us. He done that for us. He had shed his blood for us to take and wash away our sins. Now you think about it. He knows us. He knows each and every one of us this morning. But he died for us. I often think of God, if God would come to me and say, Butch, I want you to take your son, your only son. What I would say, what I would do, what would we do? It would be hard. Well, you think about how hard it was for God when he hung Jesus on that cross. Think about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, and I think about him sitting there, pray with me, pray with me. They couldn't even stay awake long enough to pray with me. Disciples that know what Jesus Christ was, pray with me. Pray with me. As I was studying, and I was thinking about the different things that he's telling you in this chapter right here. And it made my heart filled with joy. It brought tears to my eyes. Because if you realize, if we get into the Old Testament, we kind of shy away from the Old Testament. But really to me it's hard to understand the New Testament if you don't study the Old Testament. He said, for the froward is abomination to the Lord, but his secret is with the righteous. The froward, crooked or perverse or decisive. It's a reference to what that word means. And when you think about it, I think about how some people can be froward. Guys, that old devil's out there just roaming back and forth in the world, waiting for us to make one mistake. That one Sunday we don't go to church. That next Sunday, and the next thing you know, we're not going to church. Then the next thing you know, we're going back doing the things we did before. Don't look back. If you have to look back, you're not working. Look forward. Look ahead. Look at what Jesus Christ has given us today. What he has promised us. Think about all the promises he's got for us, that he has given us. Why would you want to look back? Look forward, look ahead, look for the things to come. Remember, the heart is meant 826 times, so he's trying to tell us something. Let's think about it this morning. And let's think about when we don't want to feel like one getting up to go to church. Just jump up out of that bed and say, oh, Satan, you ain't got nothing in me, I'm going. Good. I love coming to church. I don't know about you, and I love each and every person that comes that I meet. I try to show love and kindness. Sometimes that's all people need, is a little bit of love in their heart.
Question.
That's all they need. Do we have any love in our heart this morning? I hope I got a whole bushel for them. I have a lot of compassion for people. Because them little kids, the first thing that hurts me is to see little kids suffer. I hate to see kids suffer. Suffer little children, forbid them not to come unto me for of such is the kingdom of God. If we can just come to him as little children, get our old bad thoughts out of the way, do the things that he wants us to do, read and study and understand, and we'll be all right. And that's all I have this morning. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say this morning?